everybody, Jeri Bellini here from My Arts and Parts. Welcome back. Today's video is on wire wrapping and how you can connect one bead, wire wrapped bead, to another. So what we're going to use in this video is our three basic wire wrapping tools, which is the flush cutter. We're using a flat nose plier and a round nose plier. We're going to be using two pieces of wire. In this video, we're using two pieces of 22 gauge artistic craft wire. And I've got two beads sitting here. So let's get started. You're going to cut your wire approximately 4 inches. It definitely depends on the size of your bead, how big you need to cut your wire, but for demonstration purposes, I want a lot of excess wire so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Once you learn how to do this, you can really cut a very short piece of wire because you're going to be so good at it, you're not going to waste any wire at all. But for today, we're going to use the longer piece. So the first thing we're going to do is start our wrap. And I go down about, oh, that's an inch. I'm going to go down an inch. I'm going to push it over with my finger so that I have a piece of wire at a 90-degree angle. Let me see that. And I used my flat nose tool to do that. Now I'm going to use my round nose tool and I'm going to grab the top of the wire. And as I told you in the other videos, depending on where you place your wire in your round nose tool, if you go all the way in, you're going to get a great big loop. If you go towards the point, you're going to get a smaller loop. So depending on what size loop you want, you would put your wire in or out. So I'm going in where I'm comfortable with my loop, and that is anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. It's more like 1/4 of an inch. And I am right along the top fold, okay? So now I'm going to push this wire with my finger up, around, and down. Now I'm going to release the tool because I have to reposition it for the next step, but I'm going to release it and I'm going to show you what the loop looks like before I reposition. See that? That's what the loop looks like right now. So now I'm going to reposition and I'm putting the top of the tool, I'll do it this way. The top of the tool is on the outside edge and the bottom of the tool is in the loop, okay? And now I'm going to continue pulling this short end around. So I've got another 90-degree angle. Now I'm going to release this and show you what it should look like. All right, now we're going to reposition, put our tool back into the hole like that, and we're going to use our finger and take the short end and wrap it around and stay as close to the bottom of the loop as you can. Wrap it around, and this is this is really interesting doing this up at the camera, and I'm not even looking at it, only in the lens. So you want to wrap it around, and generally they get wrapped 2 to 3 times. So I'm just going to hold it down and see what I'm doing. Okay, now let me zoom you in a little bit. I'm going to get you close so you can see, and I'm going to try to stay right underneath the camera. So do you see that? I've got like 3 loops of wire around this. And I have to tell you, that's not a bad loop considering I did it up in the air. Oops, come on, focus. See? So now you see that little extra piece of wire sticking out? We want to get rid of that. So we're going to use our flush cutter. Where are we? I have to zoom you back out a little bit. We're going to use our flush cutter. And trim that off. Now be real careful when you do that. I always cover my hand because that wire can fly and it's very teeny tiny. Then what I do is I take my flat nose tool and I press down on that end to make sure that it is securely down. This could get caught on your clothing or scratch you or whatever. So I definitely just pinch that down a little bit, make sure it's nice and flat. And if I need to make any adjustments, I would do that at this point. So I've got a beautiful loop going on here. See? So now I'm ready to put my bead on. Okay, and I'm going to make another loop on this side, and I'm going to connect it to this bead right here that's already got loops on it. Okay, so I'm going to take my flat nose tool with my beautiful point, and I'm going to grab the bead, and I'm pushing with my thumb and pushing with my finger, my pointy finger, and I'm holding it like this because it actually pushes the bead down as close as it can be to the wire wrapped part. We don't want it up here and make the loop because I'm exaggerating, but you see what I mean, because you want everything nice and tight. So hold it the way I just said, put your tool down here at the bottom, flat nose tool right at the point, and we're going to push it over with our finger the way we did a little earlier for the other side, and it's going to leave us a little bit of a bend there, and that's where our wraps are going to go. So the next thing we do is we're going to make the loop. So we need to pick up our round nose tool. We're going to go in about 1/4 of an inch, and again, it depends on where you go in. If you go in really far, you're going to get a great big loop. So you want to go in, and you'll get to know your tools, and you'll get to know where you want to be on your tools to get the size loop that you want. So I'm in, and I'm as close to the bend as I can be, and I'm going to push up and down. Okay, now we've got our bead in the way, so it's not exactly like making a pair of earrings because we're going to do some wrapping. So now we've got that little jog shape. Almost looks like a bobby pin, doesn't it? Okay, so now we're going to reposition our round nose tool so that we've got one of the jaws on the outside and one on the inside. And I am going to actually add this bead at this particular point. Let's add the bead and put our tool back in. I was getting ready to wrap it without adding the bead. So now you can see it's a little more difficult to connect the beads. But you want to put your plier in there. You want to finish the twist like you did in your earring. I'm going to just release that for a second. You see, it's got the twist. This wire is actually at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to lay it in my hand so you can see it. It's at a 90-degree angle to the bead. So that's what you want, okay? Now, you see? So now you've got plenty of room here to wrap this around the shaft, this wire, okay? You can hold it with your flat nose tool and create the wrap. Okay? Up and around, down. Up, around, towards you, down. Okay? It's almost impossible to do this up in the air, but I'm managing. Okay? Now, down. See, I like to get 3 wraps, which is what I got. I got 3 wraps. See, I hope you can see that, 3 wraps. So now, yes, I do have some excess wire here. I'm going to cut it off. When you're just learning, you really need that extra wire because it's so much easier to do with your fingers if it's a little bit longer. So now I'm just trimming that off, and then I'm going back in with my flat nose tool, and I'm just going to pinch this down. And if you have to make any adjustments, now's the time. But here we are. Let's see if we can hold this. And see that? Now I did use 2 different color wires, so you can see what I did. So this is the one we just added. This is the one we just added. Okay? And you can just keep going. You can just keep going, and you can make many beads, and then at the end, what you could do, say you wanted to make a bracelet out of this, at the end you could put a jump ring, or you can attach, if you wanted to make something to hang off a journal, you could attach this to any number of things. So I'm going to let that to your imagination. I just wanted to show you how to do this simple wire wrapping, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will do my best to answer them. And I can do a follow-up video on something if you would like. That's it. I hope you have a blessed day full of love and art, and I really enjoy doing these things for you guys, and I hope you enjoy them too. Please let me know again if there's anything you'd like to learn, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.